How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well. I want to say thank you first and foremost. Got the 4,000 watch hours, pushed me over the edge into monetization. Couldn't have done it without you guys tuning in and watching the stuff I put out. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who watched that live stream from the Neon Rooster a couple weeks ago. That really helped. That pushed me over the edge big time. So thanks, and thanks for all your kind comments. That was fantastic as well. So let me know in the comments of this video if you want to see more of that stuff, or if you're like, live streaming, you doing random things is boring. That's fine as well. I will say, the night after we live streamed from the Neon Rooster, Derek did another, I believe, the Matt Waters band, and we figured some things out, and it was sort of even better. So, if we do more live stuff in the future, especially from the Neon Rooster, it'll sound quality and probably video quality will even get better, which would be fun. But anyways, thank you guys. Still sort of mining the comments for ideas on mini lessons and chats, because you guys are asking great questions in the comments, and I appreciate that. So yeah, as long as there are questions that I feel like I can answer or do a decent video about, I'll keep doing that. Someone asked about modes. They said they'd love to hear my take on modes. We could probably do a lot of videos on my take on modes. Now, to be fair, never considered myself like a super modal guitar player, even though I use them a lot. But when I think of things, I tend to think of them as sort of like the pentatonic shapes that I preach all the time. Learn the 5 shapes, why they're so important. Think of those as like the skeleton, and then you sort of populate it with the different notes. And I think a lot of people know like the definition of modes and what a mode is, like in theory. But then when it comes to actually using it, and when they should play a mode, and how to apply it, and how to phrase things with a mode, that's where the breakdown is. So I'm going to give you, sort of a quick-ish. I don't know how quick it's really going to be, but yeah, let's talk through. Let's dive in and just talk about how I think about it, what I think is important, and what I think you need to know to start using the modes. By the way, there's been a couple of requests about just how to improvise. Like if you know the pentatonic shape, how do you start improvising? I think that happens to folks a lot. I see it happen to my students, even people who come in who can play. They're like, I know these pentatonic shapes, but I don't know how to make music with them. So that's coming soon. I'm gonna do like a just straight up, a pentatonic shape and nothing else. Beginner, how do you start to improvise in solo? But anyways, we'll get there. But today, modes. So, to understand modes, I think we got to back up a little bit and talk about what I think gets left out a ton, and it's the context that you play modes in. So I want to give a quick little rundown of what does that mean? Where does that come from? And I want to start with the major scale. So let's just talk about G major for a second. If you don't know, a major scale has a particular pattern of intervals. An interval is the space between two notes. It's how far apart they are. So like if I play a G right here, on the 3rd fret on the low E string, and I go to A on the 5th fret on the low E string, that is just one whole step. So on the guitar, 2 frets is one whole step. If I only go 1 fret, like from G to G sharp, that's a half step. Not gonna spend a ton of time on that. Tons of good videos. Maybe I'll make a video on some of those sort of basic music theory things at some point too. But anyways, just know that 2 frets is a whole step, 1 fret is a half step. Now, any major scale, the pattern is 2 whole steps and a half step, then 3 whole steps and a half step. Here's what I mean. I'm doing a straight line so you can see that. There's G, here's a whole step, a half, a whole, and a half. So I started on G, that ended me on G. Whole, half, whole, half. That's the whole. Do, re, mi, fa, or blah, if I play it right. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. easier to play it, not in a straight line. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But I get that shape. If you learn the shape of a major scale, what I just played, starting on G in the low E, 3rd fret, low E, 5th fret, A string, 2nd fret, A string, 3rd fret, A string, 5th fret, D string, 2nd fret, D string, 4th fret, D string, 5th fret. I think I said that right. So it's 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, blah. I've confused myself. 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5. That's right. That's the right one. I never edit these things. I may actually edit that out. We'll see what happens. Probably not. You get the idea. And you can Google what a G major scale is. Anyways, that's the sound right there. Now, if you didn't know, every major scale, whichever one we pick, and we could literally have started that pattern from any note. Like I could start from D, and I'll get that same do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I'll get that same sound. It'll just be D's scale, not G. So I'm arbitrarily picking G. So starting from G, every scale, major scale rather, it's going to go in alphabetical order. In music, it just goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, mind you, I'm throwing a lot of random things at you because I'm assuming that you know them. It's a refresher. If you don't know them, maybe it's not time for a mode video. Go get caught up on this stuff. And like I said, I'll do some more sort of aimed at beginner music theory later, maybe, where you can tug this away and come back to it. But I think the mode thing will be fun for a lot of folks that watch and comment. But anyways, so music, letters just go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Only 7 of them. They're in alphabetical order, and they always are. So if I know that, and I know that shape, I know it's G, A, B, C, D, E. Now in the key of G, it happens to be an F sharp G. Remember that, that's going to be important. Now what determines what's sharp and flat is where it falls in that pattern of whole steps and half steps. So like for G, G to A is a whole step. When I do a whole step again, it's B. Half step happens to be a C right there. Whole step is a D. Whole step is an E. Now I'm going to go another whole step because that's my pattern. But E to F is just a half step. So I'm getting the F sharp. That's why I got an F sharp in G. Then I'm back to G, right? So again, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Now, every one of those notes can become a chord. And that is how I think about sort of keys. Taking a major scale like that, and you're essentially harmonizing every one of those notes and turning it into from a note to a chord. Now a chord's got to have 3 notes, and it literally is every other note in the scale will make your basic just triad chord. So like if I start on G, skip A and go G, B, D, that'll be a G chord. Then the next note is A. I'm skipping B and I'd do C, and then I'd go E, A, C, E. That's an A minor chord. Same thing happens for the next one. It's a B minor chord. Then the 4th chord is always a major. It's C major in this case. 5th chord is major, D major. 6th chord is minor. It's what we call the relative minor. So that's why, you heard me say in a video, 1 or 2 videos ago, G and E minor work together. They're relative. The E minor is the relative minor of G major. So for all intents and purposes, if you're playing an E minor and you're playing in G major, they're the same. That's why your E minor pentatonic shapes will work over G. All this plays into modes, by the way. I promise I'm getting there. I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible and still make sense. Anyways, all that being said, right? My chords end up being typically, well, not typically, all the time if you harmonize the major scale, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor. You could have like a little F sharp diminished. The 7th will always be a diminished chord. And then you'd be back to G. That was just the major scale, the G major scale, harmonized in chords. 2/3. Which just means, I went a third from the first note and then another third. That's how I end up with G, B, and D in the G scale. Might do a video doing that more in depth anyways. So there you go. So in the key of G, I got G, I got A minor, I got B minor, I got C, I got D, I got E minor, I got F sharp diminished. Now, every other key is gonna have a different set of notes, but they might often be very close, right? So like if I started from C and I did that pattern, whole, half, whole, half. Same sound, right? But I'm gonna end up with C, D, E, F. Now in G I had F sharp. Now I got F. There's a G, A, B, C. Now if you are paying attention, or if you're particularly observant, you might notice the only difference between that G major scale and that C major scale, other than starting on G in one and starting on C in the other, is that the F in the G scale was sharp and the F in the C scale was normal. Tuck that back away in your brain, and we're going to come back to that in a second, okay? So that is my G major scale, right? G, I'm going to say it again, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. That is always a G major scale. It does not matter how I jumble those things up. And I've said this before in videos, like if you're using that scale, let's say I'm using it right here. That's not a lick, that's a scale, right? So if I was gonna play a lick out of that, that's probably 2 or 3 licks, but I didn't start on G. The bigger thing was that I resolved to a G. When I ended up, I was on the G right here on the 8th fret on the B string. Doesn't matter if you don't know that scale. That's not the point of this. I just want to get the idea of a mode in your brain. But I am going to give you a mode that you can play at least one by the end. So don't worry, it's coming. So anyways, it does not matter how you jumble those notes up. They're a G major scale. Now, if you go look up modes, it's going to say, taking that G major scale, and instead of playing from G to G, starting on a different degree of the scale, which just means any other letter in that scale. For example, instead of me starting on, like here's G major, I could not start on my G. I could start on A right here. That was not A major, because if I did A major, I'd have to start on A, and I'd have to say whole step, half step. I didn't do that. I used those letters from G, and instead of playing G to G, I just played A to A. So it was A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, back to A. So the only letter that was not normal was F sharp, and that is only going to be true in the key of G, right? But what I just did, technically, in theory, was a mode. So I played the second mode of the G major scale. It's called the Dorian mode. Everyone has a name. So if you play G to G, first note to its octave again, that's the Ionian mode. If you play the second degree, which in this case is A, it's A Dorian. If you play the third degree, it's Phrygian or Phrygian, however you say it. I've heard it both ways. If you play the fourth, it's Lydian. If you play the fifth to the fifth, it's Mixolydian. If you play the sixth, which is actually the relative minor, it's called Aeolian. So you can call the E natural minor scale or the Aeolian scale is exactly the same as the G major scale. If you play the seventh, it's the Locrian scale. It's the crazy diminished one. And those modes are going to follow the pattern of the chords. You know how the chords we had, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished? The modes are going to be the same way. Ionian, the first one, obviously it's G major, it's a major mode. Second one is Dorian, it's a minor mode, just like the second chord would be minor. Third one, it's a minor mode, just like the third chord. Fourth and fifth are major chords, they're major modes. So, same idea. Now, here's where people get stuck, is they think that they play that and they're playing in the Dorian mode. Well, no, if you just play that jumble of notes, like I can start from A right here, and I can play those notes, Now that is A Dorian, but if I play all those notes right there and I resolve to G, guess what key you're in? You're not playing the Dorian mode. You're just playing G major, right? Because if somebody's playing a groove in G, even if it's got an A minor in it or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's going to resolve to G. I can play right there all day long. But when I ended right there, it was a G. So I'm still in the key of G. So let's switch gears and say, okay, well, what would make me play in Dorian right there? Here's how I think about it. And Dorian's the one we're going to talk about today, because honestly, hot take, I only ever use the Dorian and the Mixolydian, and then obviously the major scale, which is Ionian, and the sixth one, which is Aeolian, which is the relative minor or the natural minor, E natural minor. Rarely do I ever have, cause to venture into the others. So for me, that's where I live. The pentatonics, major and minor, and then the major scale, the minor scale, the Dorian mode, the Mixolydian mode. Those are the ones that I tend to find useful for the stuff that I play. But anyways, there you go. So when would I actually play in Dorian, and how would I think about playing in Dorian? So for years, if somebody said something was Dorian, I knew, okay, A Dorian is just, G major, but starting from the A. So I would try to approach it just like I was playing in G major, and it never sounded right. So like if I was thinking G major, I might go down here to the 12th fret and do the whole 12, 14, 15, 12, 14, 15, 12, 14, 11, 12, 14, 12, 13, 15, 12, 14, 15. And I would play over it just like I was playing in G, but I'd end on the A, and it would never sound very good. Just like that didn't sound very good. The thing I played at the beginning of the video is what I think of as a little Dorian progression. We'll talk about that in a second, why. But so like that wouldn't sound good over. But the stuff I played at the beginning of the video, hopefully it did. Now here's where it's different. I'm gonna come back up to here, to this shape, to the 5th fret. Now my G major scale, I could play, right here. I could go 3, come to the 5th fret, and go 5, 7, 8, and then go 5, 7, and it'd be 4, 5, 7, and then it would be 4, 5, 7, then it'd be 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. That would be a couple octaves of the G major scale, right? Forget the G though. I'm going to start from A, okay? Now it would look like, so my Dorian mode, the scale box that I'm going to use for today, is going to be this: 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. Now let's slow that down so you can play it. Here's what it's going to be. It's going to be 5, 7, 8. That's the low E string. The A string is going to be 5, 7. The D string is going to be 4, 5, 7. The G string is going to be 4, 5, 7. Right? The B string is going to be 5, 7, 8. High E, same thing. 5, 7, 8. There's my Dorian mode. Now, hopefully that looks familiar, because the skeleton of that lines up, and I say skeleton, that lines up right there with my A minor pentatonic that everybody knows. 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. Now, if I wanted to switch that to diatonic and play A natural minor, it would be 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. I went through that really quickly, but hopefully you could hear right off that's different than the Dorian mode. How different, you ask? Well, one note different, because the only difference in what I would normally play in A minor, which happens to be the same as C major, so it would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But when I'm playing it and I'm thinking the notes from the G major scale, which is really, my A Dorian, it's A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. So everywhere there would have been an F in my A natural minor scale, instead I'm going to play F sharp. And as soon as you hit that note, you're like, oh, there's the Dorian sound. There's the sound from Dorian like I was playing at the beginning of the video. The problem is, when you're playing those notes in their G major, you got to forget about them being in G major, and you got to think A minor. And here's your skeleton, A pentatonic, right? But where normally an A pentatonic on the top string, I'd have, 5, 8, and I'd add 5, 7, 8 to make it diatonic because it'd be A, B, C. That's normal, right? On A natural minor, on the next string, on the A string, I would go 5, 7, 8 because I'd want to go D, E, F. This time I'm not. I'm going to go D, E, which is 5, 7. And then I'm going to pick up F sharp on my D string on the 4th fret. F sharp, G is the 5th fret, A, and then to have it continue, it would be 4, 5, 7 again. And then here I am again on my B string. I'm going to go, normally if it was A natural minor, it would be 5, 6, 8, but that's an F on the 6th fret. So we're going to play 5, 7 for the F sharp, 8, like we're in G, but we're not thinking in G. And then same thing on the first string, 5, 7, 8. So now I can play all the bends and the things I would do in the key of A minor. So like, I'm not thinking like G where I might go 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, and then bend the D string. Because that's going to make me want to resolve to either that E for E minor or that G, right? I'm going to be bending on the G string on the 7th fret like I would in A minor pentatonic. But then on my B string, if I want to make it sound Dorian, all I have to do is play the 8th fret right there. That's that F sharp. Now, you don't even have to much think about, okay, it's F or it's F sharp. You just have to know that shape. Again, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 4. And it helps to know that that 4 right there on the D string is one of the notes that make it Dorian. 5, 7, and then 4, 5, 7 on the G, and on the B, 5, and here's the other Dorian note, the other F sharp, still just another F sharp, an octave up. 7th fret, 8, 5, 7, 8, right? You could just wail away through that over a Dorian progression, and it's going to sound good. But here's the part I think so many people miss. Why would you play the Dorian in the first place? So it's all about the chords, right? So if I got chords that are normally in A minor, same as the key of C, I might have like C, F, G, A minor. I might have an E minor. I might have a D minor. Those are all your basic chords, right? In the key of C, minus the little B diminished chord or whatever, right? Obviously, there can be different variations, and that's very basic. There's lots of other chords you could use, but there's our 6 basic ones we got from that major scale that are major and minor. But there's no reason to use Dorian over that, right? It doesn't harmonize that way. All I need is A natural minor. But if I see something where it's like an A minor, right? And then the other chords are the chords in G, right? Like, for example, I was playing an A minor 7 and a D9 at the beginning. Not D minor 9, not D minor. A D with an F sharp in it. Aha, I need A Dorian. Now, you might be thinking, well, why wouldn't you just play G major? Well, the kicker is it has to be the chords from that key of G, but it's not resolving to the key of G. It's resolving to the key, or resolving to A minor, right? A minor is the last chord. Think about Last Dance with Mary Jane with Tom Petty. A minor, G, D, A minor. A D is not in, the key of A minor, of C major. It's not. It should be D minor. But there's a D there. But you don't end on a G, so that song's not in G. It's not an E minor. You resolve that song, you end it on an A minor. So that song, in my brain, it's in Dorian. It's the Dorian mode. It's A minor, it's G, it's D, it's A minor again. Those chords are in the key of G more than they're in the key of A minor or C. So that's where you could use the Dorian mode. Or that little vamp that I was doing in the beginning. Again, if I was playing A minor and D minor, A minor and D minor, or A minor 7 and D minor 7, A natural minor scale. No need for Dorian. But as soon as I put the D, regular D7, now I need Dorian. That's what you have to think is what are the chords, right? And when I say resolve to that A minor, there's this concept called like the tonal center. Like, even though the notes come from G major, if we were reading the music, it would only have one sharp, which is G major. The tonal center is A, right? We're resolving, everything's ending up, everything feels finished on A minor. So if it feels finished in A minor, but the chords come from what's typically G major, biggest thing to look for, usually for me, that clues me in, is that D instead of D minor. then you want to use the Dorian mode. And when you want to play it just like you're in A minor pentatonic, but pepper it in with that F sharp, you know, right there on the 7th fret B string, or 4th fret D string, right? And then your other notes can be what you'd use for A natural minor, right? But again, the easiest way is to just think of the shape I showed you. 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. Dorian mode. In 26 minutes and 29 seconds, it looks like. Hopefully that is helpful. And hopefully it wasn't like, you know, clear as mud. Modes can get tricky, but hopefully that's an easier way to think about it. You just got to remember when it's like the A Dorian mode, you cannot play it like it's in G major just because it's a mode of G major. You'll just sound like you're playing in the wrong key. It'll be awkward. You got to play it like you're playing A minor, but you know that every time an F comes up, it's F sharp instead. That's what makes it sound Dorian. That's what gives you those licks. That's the sound, you know, that's the Dorian sound. And it helps to get that in your brain. I'll do another one maybe on Mixolydian, because like I said, those are the ones I like. Or it's not even that I like, it's that I find myself using for the context and the types of songs and chord progressions that I tend to find myself playing over. So hopefully that is helpful. If you did find this helpful, you know, I will throw my Venmo and my PayPal in the description. If you want to send a tip, fantastic. If you don't, no big deal. Don't ever feel obligated. I will put my affiliate links in the description of this video. I'm racking up quite a few. So I got a link to Tontuga Effects if you want to try out their pedals. I've got one to branded bills, which is like hats and t-shirts and stuff, which is pretty cool. I wear those a lot. Got some back there on the couch if you can see them. And then you know, my little fancy fedora, westerny cattleman crown hat things that I like to wear. Or Gorn Brothers, I have an affiliate link there. All those things are there. Check them out if you want to buy things from them and you use my link. It gives me a few dollars, which helps me keep making these videos and hopefully have more time to make these lesson videos. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. You don't know how much I appreciate it. You don't know how much I appreciate you guys watching enough that I could actually monetize this channel. That is a huge, you know, a goal I set out to do. It's been a grind, but it's been fun. It's been good. It's hard. It's a lot of work. And I probably haven't been as consistent as I need to be, but you guys have hung in there anyways, and I appreciate it. So more lessons coming, more live things coming, more probably performance kind of things as well. But definitely the lessons, because I think they're helpful, and hopefully you think they're okay and they're good, and you learn some things from them. So hit like and subscribe if you haven't. Click the bell so you don't miss when I put out videos. Have a fantastic rest of your week whenever it is you're watching this, and I will see you next time. Thanks again.